granniopteryx, she knows the truth, she's linking every link.
Hello. Actually, before I start on Keir Starmer, who does look really rather like a prisoner being interrogated in a police station, doesn't he? And you notice the slightly rumpled hair and the not quite zipped up tracksuit that I think he believes makes him look like he's got more street cred with down with the kids or something like that. Well, before I get into what he has to say, or rather to obfuscate, I want to thank everybody. I have been very much touched by your words of sympathy and encouragement, even by your suggestions. Some of them obviously suggestions from people who actually don't understand how difficult it is to move a sick horse. And I don't blame you for that. I'm very grateful for every message you sent me. And some people, I didn't expect this. People have sent me money. Look, thank you. That's too many for me to start writing thank you letters now, especially as I have a little bit extra on my mind at the moment. So I do hope you'll forgive me, but I also hope that you will take this as my thanks to you. I have been astonished by people's generosity of heart as well as of purse. It's just been, it's made a bad situation. It's given me hope in a bad situation, however the rest of it turns out. And I'm, as you will have noticed, I put another picture of the Mare and the foal, just so you can see what they're like. And as a matter of fact, I don't know whether you've been seeing this, but a lot of physicists nowadays are starting to talk, there's a word for it, but I can't remember. Entanglement, I think it is. I may have got that wrong. It's when they realise that some things echo other things. There was a physicist talking to Joe Rogan, and she was talking about you take an atom, you split off the two electrons, and she said this experiment was conducted on the space station, so I'm assuming they got the electron, I don't know how, from this atom and took it to the space station with... I don't know, I may have misunderstood that. But the point she was making was that they behaved in coordination with each other, even though the two electrons were separated. And she said it's quite possible, we don't really understand how either, but that an advanced civilization might have found a way to be in different parts of the universe just using this power of one item being linked in some way to another item on the other side of the galaxy. I hope that didn't sound too crazy. But anyway, my husband was talking about this a little while ago because I was talking about communicating with horses, and he said, well, perhaps if your brains are vibrating on the same wavelength, then something can be conveyed, even if it's not actual words, that are on a similar wavelength. I don't know whether that was actually happening, but I had a long conversation with my horse a couple of days ago, telling her how important it was for her to lie down. And last night we saw in the stable, because she was out during the day, because the foal has to race about. That's the only way it's going to develop her muscles. And even though it's difficult to get the mare out into the field because it hurts her to walk. We have to do that. And I told her, when you go back to the stable, you have to lie down. And wow, she did lie down. I don't know whether it's because she just got very tired from being out in the field, but I like to think she was actually listening to me. Anyway, yeah, I've completely got off the subject. I'm sorry about this. The fields and a peaceful mare feeding her newborn filly. It's such a wonderful sight. And then I'm bringing you back to this. Okay, well, let's listen to Keir Starmer justifying his attempts to cotton wool children so they owe themselves to the state instead of to their parents or even their peer group. Let's have another listen.
Every parent wants the best for their kids. And that's what being a parent means. And for me, for my 2 kids, all I've ever wanted, hand on heart, is for them to be safe and for them to be happy.
That reminds me a bit of the "you will own nothing and you'll be happy." You can be careful with your children, but the only aspiration is that they're safe is not the way to carry on. I remember I spoke about this before when I was 18. No, I was 16. I realised that afterwards. When I was 16, I went with a group of friends to Paris, and we stayed in a hostel for about something like 2 months during the school holidays. And we were, parading around Paris, picking up rotten fruit from the market for nothing, stuff that had been thrown out. But there was plenty of stuff that was still quite edible and saved us some money. And, it was okay. Paris is different now. But even then, the thought of a 16-year-old girl, traipsing around Paris at 2 a.m, no one would do that anymore because we're so worried about safety. But I benefited enormously from that experience. There really is too much emphasis on safety now. But that's all that parents should aspire to now. They have to keep their children confined and safe. I mean, actually, that's where the Muslim idea of keeping women imprisoned for most of their lives was. That's how it got started, because you have to keep your women safe. Where does it end? Well, they're the safest in prisons of various sorts. And how can you argue with that? Okay, let's carry on.
And the rest is up to them. But I think back to when I was growing up, and I have to say, I think we had it easier. These days, kids have to find their feet in a world that changes so quickly, where technology intrudes into every area of their lives.
Well, yeah, and he's talking about intruding technology into every area. He's just making it worse. Now, you notice how frightened he is of technology, how he's talking about technology as a terrifying thing, instead of talking about it as a great advantage, a great opportunity, an opening up. You've just got to get it right how it's done. But no, this is something you have to be shielded from by using more technology, of course.
And we know that harms them.
You see, it's things changing, things improving or becoming more technological and therefore somewhat less understandable to somebody of his age. That is harmful. That's his basic assumption.
The response from parents in the consultation has been absolutely clear. Thousands of parents say their children are addicted to social media.
Now, that is a problem and it can be dealt with. But saying no, you can't access social media, that's not going to stop it, because you tell a child that that child can't access something, and you wait and see what happens then. They'll find other ways of subverting that one, but without any sort of parental or even governmental supervision.
It can leave them trapped in a cycle of endless scrolling that displaces play, sleep, and time with the family.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. But it can be dealt with. That doesn't mean to say you have to ban it.
It can harm their mental health.
There's the harm and mental health again. He's bringing in all the buzzwords.
And frankly, parents need our support on this.
No, you see, this is it. The government, again, dipping into the family. The family needs... It reminds me, Jeremy Corbyn was saying when he was running for Prime Minister or whatever, he said, only the Labour Party, that's when he was in charge of the Labour Party, only the Labour Party can lift up the disadvantage. No, sod it, the disadvantage can lift themselves up. The government's job is to make the streets safe so that people can go out and earn an honest living. That's what the government is supposed to do. He is not my daddy. And he's not my kid's daddy either. And he's come up with these breakfast clubs. So we have less money for national defence and a whole lot of money for the state to provide breakfast for the children. Parents can provide breakfast. That's obvious, or it should be obvious anyway.
That is why today the government has decided to ban social media access for children under 16.
This is going to come in 2027, by the way.
It's a big step for our country.
It isn't. It's a step. Well, it's a big step. It's a big step back. And I would like to point something out here. Children will not be under 16 will not be able to access things like X.com. But they can access Blue Sky. That's not on the banned list. Now, Blue Sky. I've seen some posts that Blue Sky has a lot of PDF files accessing it. And indeed, if children are allowed to access Blue Sky and nothing else, then there'll be even more, won't there? Because there is no end to the inventiveness of such people. And also, Blue Sky is supposed to be very leftward. I've never been on Blue Sky. I don't know anything about it beyond the fact that a lot of people say that it's extremely leftward. So what he's doing is he is priming children until they're 16 on things like Blue Sky, and then when they're 16, that's when they get to vote. Don't you think that sounds ever so slightly suspicious? Because I do.
Now, it's not an easy thing to do.
It's not a possible thing to do. There will be millions of ways of subverting this. Just ask any 12-year-old.
I'll be honest about that.
Honest? Ha! Okay.
We haven't rushed into it.
No, they're going to do it in 2027 when people have got used to the idea.
We've looked carefully at the evidence, and we'll have to adapt our approach as technology changes.
They are going to be rushed off their feet trying to adapt, and it's going to be a disaster because, you see, I don't know whether you realise this, but it means when you want to access social media, you adults who are watching this video, you are going to have to prove you're over 16. You are going to have to register yourself as an adult online, and then everything you see is going to be monitored or monitorable. And if you don't think, the government can't keep state secrets involving military plans. A whole load of stuff I read out in a previous video. all the leaks that came from digital leaks on National Health Service records and all the rest of it, you think that won't happen to this. Of course it will. They're not going to be able to handle this. It's going to be a dreadful mess.
Learn from other countries which are taking similar steps.
Oh, and yeah. So there's an Indian thing about that, you know. If all your friends jump into a well, does that mean you should jump into a well also? No. Just because other countries are going crazy doesn't mean to say we have to follow them down that crazy path.
And it's fair to say that this decision has been resisted.
Oh, yes. By people who can see what the problems are going to be.
And it will face resistance.
I'll say so.
From some of the most powerful companies in the world.
Now he's having a go at Elon Musk, of course.
But we will take them on and we will win.
No, you won't win. You'll make a right royal mess of it. That's what you'll do.
Because the need for...
You know, actually, this whole, cutting down access to digital media and social media and that sort of thing, it's the sort of King Canute type of situation. But King Canute was standing there telling the waves to go back, not because he thought he could do it, but to prove to his flatterers that he could not do it. He thinks he can do it.
Action could not be any clearer. Social media is making our children unhappy and unsafe.
There's this unsafe again. It's talking about safety, mental health. That's the fourth time he's brought it up in the space of 2 minutes and 22 seconds. Well, 2 minutes and 6 seconds here.
And as a parent, as much as a Prime Minister, I just can't let that go on anymore.
No, of course, you have to be afraid of technology. You have to worry about keeping children safe and insulated and isolated because parents can't control their children. Of course not. They can't even give them breakfast.
Because our children deserve better.
Yeah, well, they deserve a better government, that's for sure. They deserve not to have migrants patrolling the streets, threatening them, propositioning them, and even doing worse to them when they get the chance.
They deserve a happy, safe childhood.
Yeah, they do. And so why aren't you providing that, Sir Keir?
In a stronger, fairer Britain.
Oh, stronger, fairer Britain. Everything's got to be fair, hasn't it? You know that one about life not being fair, I suppose. And the one worst thing about socialism is the idea of fairness. Okay, yeah, you know, you give people a helping hand. I'm not saying you throw weaklings, you know, not saying you expose babies on rubbish tips or whatever. But a fairer Britain isn't what we should be thinking of. What we should be thinking of is a Britain that gives people an opportunity and an opportunity to stand on their own 2 feet, and a Britain that is safe from people who wish to invade it, either in rubber dinghies or in drones and tanks from countries that are not well disposed to us. That's what we need. Oh, it's finished. Good. Well, there you are. So, it's going to erode freedom, it's going to erode privacy, it's going to open the government to all sorts of leaks and disasters, and it's not going to make our children safe. Because they're going to find ways around it anyway, only they're going to do it more in secret and with less oversight. Okay, well, that's the digital thingy that this terrified little man is trying to put a stop on. Let's just take an example of the Gutenberg printing press, which started a social upheaval very similar to what he's talking about here. And the 30 Years' War, one of the bloodiest wars in European history. and the Ottoman Empire at the time saw all of this and said, oh no, this is terrifying, and they stopped any sort of printing in the Muslim world. And they didn't actually start printing books until the 18th century, and that did the Ottoman Empire a lot of good, didn't it? While Britain was coming up with steam engines and mechanical weaving, the Arabs were still smacking their donkeys' bottoms with sticks as they pulled their olive harvest to the nearest village. It's just... That's what happens when you try to stop technology because it's frightening you. Okay, till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.